The air was cool that morning, soft with the promise of rain. Anna stood on the small balcony of her new apartment, a cup of tea warming her hands, the city stretching endlessly below. She had moved here just a month ago, not far from her old place, but far enough to feel new. The walls were painted cream and gold, sunlight pooled on the wooden floor, and there was a quiet hum of peace in every corner. It wasn't just a home, it was hers. No traces of old memories, no ghosts of what could have been. Just the sound of her own heartbeat and the feeling of belonging to herself. On her kitchen table sat a letter, her first acceptance into a city art exhibition. Her painting, Rebirth, had caught the attention of a local magazine. They wanted to feature her story, not as Ethan's ex, not as the woman who was cheated on, but as Anna Morales, the artist who paints healing. She smiled at the thought. There was a time when her name had felt heavy, chained to pain. Now it floated light, certain, free, true. Later that week, she visited the exhibition's opening. She wore a soft blue dress, her hair loose around her shoulders. The room buzzed with laughter. Glasses clinking, people admiring the art on the walls. Her painting hung at the center, bold, luminous. A sunrise breaking through storm clouds. Underneath, a small plaque read, Rebirth, by Anna Morales. Sometimes endings are just beginnings. Wearing different clothes, people stopped to stare. Some took pictures. Others stood silently, lost in the colors. An older woman approached her. "It's beautiful," she said softly. "You can feel the strength in it. Like whoever painted this has walked through hell and made it look like heaven." Anna smiled gently. Maybe she did. When she stepped outside later that night, rain had begun to fall thin, cool drops that felt like grace. She tilted her face toward the sky and closed her eyes, letting it wash over her. For the first time in forever, she wasn't running from memories. She wasn't rewriting the past. She wasn't waiting for closure. She simply existed, perfectly present, perfectly whole. The next morning, Anna woke early and drove to the coast. She hadn't been there since before everything happened. Back then, she used to sit on the rocks with Ethan, dreaming about the future. This time, she went alone. The sea roared softly against the shore, gulls circling overhead. She kicked off her shoes and walked barefoot across the sand, the wind tugging gently at her hair. For a moment, she thought about the woman she used to be, the one who smiled too easily, forgave too quickly, and loved without protecting herself. And she whispered, "Thank you." Because without that woman, she would have never learned how strong she could become. Sitting on a smooth rock by the water, she took out her journal, the same one she had opened months ago on the night she first decided to rebuild. She turned to a fresh page and began to write. Healing isn't loud. It's not revenge or triumph. It's waking up one morning and realizing your heart doesn't ache anymore. It's drinking coffee in silence and finding peace in your own company. It's understanding that forgiveness isn't weakness, it's freedom. I thought I needed closure from him, but what I really needed was clarity from myself. She paused, the wind ruffling the pages, then added, "The message that broke me wasn't a curse. It was the universe redirecting me away from what hurt toward who I was meant to be." She signed it simply, Anna. A soft voice interrupted her thoughts. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" Anna looked up. A man stood nearby, holding a sketchbook, smiling politely. His eyes were kind, steady, not demanding, not familiar, just open. She shook her head. "No, go ahead." He sat beside her, sketching quietly as the waves crashed. They didn't speak much, just the occasional exchange of smiles. The comfortable silence between two strangers who didn't need to fill the air. When he got up to leave, he hesitated. "You paint too, don't you?" Anna raised an eyebrow. "How did you know?" He smiled. "Your hands have paint on them." She laughed, glancing down a faint smear of blue still on her fingertips. "Guess it's hard to hide." "Don't," he said simply. "People like you shouldn't hide what makes them glow." That night, back home, Anna stood in front of her easel once more. The blank canvas stared back, waiting. But this time she didn't paint sadness. She didn't paint healing either. She painted peace. Soft skies, calm waters. A single figure standing tall on the shore. When she was done, she wrote one final line in gold at the corner, not for the world, not for him, but for herself. "I am not what broke me. I am what I chose to become." Weeks later, the painting sold at a charity auction for triple its expected value. The buyer left a note that simply said, "This piece feels alive." Anna smiled when she read it. It is, she thought. So am I. As months turned to a year, Anna's life continued to unfold, beautifully not perfect, but peaceful. She opened a small studio of her own, teaching art and hosting workshops called Color After the Storm. Women came to her, some broken, some lost, all searching for the same thing she once searched for, themselves. She never told them her whole story. She didn't need to. Her art, her strength, her calm presence said enough. And instead of sadness, she felt gratitude, because that moment, that heartbreak, had been the start of everything beautiful. It wasn't the end of her story. Somewhere in the distance, a new dawn was waiting, not for her to chase, but to meet her where she stood. She smiled to herself and whispered the truth she fought so hard to learn, healing dosing. Tea erase the scars, turns them into art. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, please know there is hope and help available.